Welcome back to another exciting episode of All About Life. In today's segment, we're going to be covering why the dating market is so competitive. Well, for starters, this video is only going to cover heterosexual relationships. Okay? Now, the reason why, the primary reason as to why this dating market is so competitive is because of social media. All right? Back in the day, when we're talking about the 80s, the 90s, and way long ago, we didn't have that. Okay? Even you guys, if you grew up in the 90s like I did, I'm a 90s baby, in the early 90s, we didn't have that. Okay? We had basic technology, email addresses. When I started going to middle school, MySpace was around. That was like the first social media platform that came about. But we didn't have too many, okay? Technology was still in that development process. Apps were something very new. There wasn't a lot going on other than basic search engines, right? But as time went by, we realized that we can actually connect with the world. As long as everyone is on some kind of social media platform, i.e. Facebook, IG, Twitter, Snapchat, I mean, you name it, if you're on it, you're able to connect with others, all right? And that's separate from dating platforms, right? Like Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, all of those. So when you start to look at how social media has grown, you can see that now very easily any man or any woman can get in contact with whoever they find attractive. They can even get in contact with celebrities. There was a point where you can only meet celebrities when you go to convention centers, when you go to meet and greets, all right? Outside of just watching them on your television. Now you can actually hit up celebrities that you like. So what does that mean for the average Joe? The average Joe, as a man, you're not going to get as much play as you could back then. Because women, when they were only subjected to their vicinity, right, wherever they lived, if you were there, you were one of their options. They didn't have that many options because they couldn't connect with other people. Women these days travel a lot. You'll see that most women love traveling. And traveling is not just for landmarks and cool little adventurous places to go to. A lot of the traveling has to do with meeting other men, meeting powerful men, very known men. We're talking about celebrities, men that own shit, okay? So at this point in time, you as an average Joe, if you live in a small town, or even if you live in a large city, it doesn't really matter, because if you don't stand out, you're not going to do that well in the dating market. Can you land a girlfriend? It's possible. But the odds are much lower, which is why there are a lot of men going sexless, okay, when it comes to meeting women. We're not talking about masturbation or dolls or any of those other things. We're talking about strictly having sex with women without having to pay for it, right? It is what it is. So, what do we do about this situation? Now that we know that this is the reason, the primary reason as to why the sexual market has become competitive. All right? Dating in general is very competitive. And you have to also keep in mind that feminism is a big component as to why women are very, and when I say very, I mean very picky. Women make a lot of money now. A lot of girls are keeping up with men when it comes to wages. Okay? You have women going for the average jobs that are paying decently, $20 an hour plus. We're not even talking about the minimum wage stuff. And then you have a lot of women opting for OnlyFans, cam websites, okay? Utilizing their social media platform if they built a following. A lot of them are using their sexuality because they realize that sex sells, and it has always sold. But now it's selling at an alarming rate because of the internet, and more so because of social media. It's just too easy to communicate with anybody, all types of people around the world, and make something happen. If you live in another country, you can fly out down over here or fly someone down over there to your place. And that's a connection. You have a lot of women joining different websites, sugar daddy websites, right? A lot of girls are trying to get sugar daddies. And the best way for them to do it is either joining a website or just utilizing their social media and seeing what comes their way. Because at the end of the day, the men and women dynamic is women draw the attention. They're basically the sexual object of choice. And men are the ones doing the selecting. Men are saying, I like that girl, I'm gonna shoot my shot, or I'm gonna talk to her, or I'm gonna send her money, or I'm gonna fly her out, or I'm gonna take her on a date. Whatever method, depending on the scenario, whether he lives close or far, if he's high status, low status, whatever it may be, you have all these types of men going after the same women, okay? And now you have to also understand that because there's so many guys going after the same women, it becomes more difficult for them to select who they want. So in a lot of cases, many women are dating multiple guys. Whether they have a boyfriend or they have someone that they're dating steady, they have other guys of options. And then the women, they don't have to lock down a guy, right? Because when they know they got it, they're vetting their options. They have so many choices to choose from, so they're living their best life, aka just dating multiple dudes, having sex with multiple guys, which is why sex has become even more relevant than it was even just a decade ago, right? Because the point is that men and women are able to hook up more effectively with who they want. Guys shoot their shot and women select who they are gonna have sex with. That is the dynamic that we are in today. And then relationships, dating, and all that good stuff, they all get to be put in different categories depending on what you're looking for as a person. Now, granted, because we live in this type of society with social media thriving, it makes it very hard to have long-term relationships. But that's starting to become outdated. We're noticing that polygamy is becoming a little bit more acceptable and more individuals are kind of getting on with that program, whether they state it openly or they're just doing it low-key. It doesn't really matter because now, in the palm of your hands, with your phone, you have access to just about everything, which means that it's going to be harder to maintain a monogamous relationship with anybody. So, when we talk about how competitive the dating market is, we also need to be aware that not all of us are going to perform well, okay? Because like I said, women throughout the dawn of time have been the object of being a prized possession, okay? And that only simply means is that regardless whether we're dealing with women centuries ago or currently, you as a man have to make yourself appealing as possible in order to attract what you want. Women do it, now men need to do it. And this attraction is not just one thing. Decades ago, you were able to have a couple of good traits and that would get you far with a lot of women. Now, you're competing against the world of men when it comes to heterosexual relationships between men and women, okay? So, as a guy, you need to do whatever is possible in order to raise your attraction. And I talk about that a lot on this channel. Some men will not want to listen. Some men will want to stay stuck in their ways and not progress, not be proactive. They want to sit back, stay complacent, and hope that they can find a girl that will like them instead of putting in the work to self-improve, increasing your money, increasing your looks, becoming more fit, doing all these things that a lot of people talk about these days in order to become the most attractive self. Because if you're in shape as a man and you have money and you're well-spoken, you know how to socialize, you have all these components, you will be a prime factor of what women are going to be looking for. So your odds are going to be great while somebody that's lacking in those departments, especially if they're lacking in multiple, will be damn near non-existent. Which is why I have said in previous videos, the imbalance between the men that are on the top, the men that are earning the most, the men that are the most attractive, the men that are really putting themselves out there to become well known, those guys have the pick of the litter when it comes to women. Because typically women select who they're gonna be with, but women don't go down. They're not gonna select the bottom of the barrel. So when you're the best of the best as far as a man, you are actually the one choosing. And in fact, in a lot of cases, women are dating the same men. You might have one guy that has a rotation of 10 plus women, and that's just the reality. Because women are not going to date losers. And I talk about that without trying to be too derogatory, but because the dating market is so competitive, you have to be great to some capacity. I'm not saying you have to be the richest guy in the world. You don't have to be the best looking guy in the world. You don't have to have the most property in the world. You don't have to have the most of anything. But you need to have more than the average Joe in as many departments as you can cover, as many categories as you can cover, so that you as a man will stand out. And standing out is not just for women, it's for opportunities. Like just today, I'm actually trying to increase my revenue. So I'm doing little things. I'm actually going to work a regular job also, just so that I can have all these streams of income coming in. And so I applied to security. I've done doorman work in the past. My last amount that I was getting paid was about $22 an hour. So what did I do? I got myself out there again. Mind you, that was back in 2019. So it's been a few years since I worked a regular job. And now I'm back on it. And I'm getting job offers for $25 an hour. So the point is, elevate, understand what you're good at, and apply yourself. And use other forms of things that you know how to do in order to gather more income. And make sure you stay on top of your physiques. You see, I work out. I make sure that when I'm out and about, I know how to present myself. When I'm meeting new people, job opportunities, I got called in, had a 10, 15-minute chat with the boss of that company, handshaked, had a nice firm handshake, and now I'm gonna be working very soon. Just gotta go through the paperwork and we got the job, okay? And that is what you can do when you have self-improved in a lot of categories. You know how to speak, you know how to communicate, you know how to socialize, right? All these forms of communication. Then you look good, you're in shape. So when any person meets you, whether it's a man or woman, or any of the above, whatever they identify as, they can see how you look. And they're able to, yeah, that guy's in shape, that guy looks good, Then we come to the sexual attraction, right? If you're out in the dating market and you're going on a date with a girl, you know how to turn that person on. You know how to go from a platonic, boring ass conversation to a very sexual, entertaining conversation where you're not making it all about sex, but you're leaving room to have that woman wanting to think about you. And before you know it, you're fucking the girl that you just were on a date with. At least that's what happens with me. And I always say this, a lot of individuals, they'll criticize me. I'm gonna put some comments here so that you guys can see on the channel. I get made fun of all the time. People saying that some of the women that I date are ugly, the women that I attract, they're only there to try to use me. And it's like, my nigga, no. When I go on a date, I don't spend money, okay? A lot of times I just buy myself a drink at a coffee shop. I let the girl come through. I usually show up early. Sometimes I'll show up later if I feel like I'm unsure about the girl. If the girl's been keeping in touch with me since we set up the date, which I only set up dates within a couple of days from one another. We don't go past that. And a lot of times I insta-date, which is what I told you before, where you set the date on the spot. You meet a girl on a dating app, bam, what are you doing tonight? You meet a girl in person, what are you doing tonight? Shit, what are you doing right now? Okay? That's how you do it. That's how you set things in motion so you can get what you want. So going back to the whole point of this video, the dating market is competitive. But what I just explained in this video are ways to mitigate and get the most out of it. Now, if you're a guy like some of these losers that post all this crap and they don't want to self-improve, they don't want to do nothing, they just want to stay complacent and make fun of, where they're the ones that are not, I know I don't want to live their life, okay? I like being able to go on dates. I like being able to have sex with damn near any girl I want, okay? I like to make money. Like, these are things that are good, right? Building up your following, building up your craft, whatever you're good at, get better at it. All of these fundamentals that are going to lead you to a more successful life, all right? Now, we can talk about this for hours in, hours out, but that's the gist of this video. If you have any questions or concerns, leave it in the comment section below. Again, this is all about why the dating market is competitive and what you could do to improve your chances in it for heterosexual relationships. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, this channel is all about you. Catch you guys on the next video.